everyone. Today we are going to build a kaiju in Minecraft. This is my forever world, and before we get to it, I just want to show you a few things. Sorry about the bit of the stutter there. I have gotten my first subscriber, but I haven't figured out how to actually see it yet. So I'll update that later. But speaking of subscribers, as you might have guessed from my talking about it in earlier episodes, I am subscribed to Cringy, and yesterday he actually responded to me commenting on his live stream, which I think that was fun. Also, I forgot to show you this, but this chain actually moves with the door. Something that I thought was pretty cool. Now we're going to go over to the job site. And what kind of kaiju that we're doing today is a Ghidorah. Because I just yesterday rewatched Final Wars. And I actually have a few theories on Final Wars. A lot of people don't like how Monster X doesn't carry a lot of the stuff that Kaiser Ghidorah has. And I'm thinking that might be because Monster X was mutated by the Exilians. Because no other Ghidorah has hands with opposable thumbs. So I'm thinking that given how the Ghidorahs are generally the same across all different versions, with two exceptions, all of them but those share the same general thing. Which that makes me think that they're all generally the same. So I'm thinking that with the Monsterverse, since King Ghidorah's psychic in that, he could and his species be psychic across all versions. So
you can
given
only
that,
sleep at night or during thunderstorms.
I really should turn that off. Given that that King Ghidorah's psychic, I'm thinking that the Exilians had trouble controlling him. Let me see. So I'm thinking that they used a lot of their DNA in Monster X in order to control him. And given that a lot of their DNA was used, he inherited some of their traits, namely the hands. And that's also why I think that they didn't warp him down to Earth. Instead, he rode on a meteorite. Because his DNA... Why did that sound like Soundwave for some reason? Anyway. I think that the reason that he came from a meteorite was because his DNA, once under stress, would reject their DNA and they would lose control. That's just a theory, but that's how I personally see it. Well, might as well get started. Let me see, that's my gearbox. Better put that. Alright, so I have looked at a couple reference images, and Kaiju Ghidorah's feet ends in individual toes. So I'm going to try and go for that. For that general look. Also trying to think of how big I want to make this one. This one I want to make a more of a juvenile. One of the species. I think I forgot in order to grab something. I'll grab it in just a second. I forgot the bone blocks. Does that look like a convincing foot? I think so. And then we need to give him a bit of a heal. Sorry if this is a bit slow. I think this might work for the heal. Yeah, that has the bit of shape that I need for this. And make it go up there. I'm not making a Monster X 1-for-1. I'm making one inspired by Monster X. Which, I'm thinking that this one could be called Custom Ghidorah. Which, that's German for Countess. Do it like that. And I'm also taking inspiration from the recent reboot Destroya, which used King Ghidorah's cells. Up, got a bit of horde. Since that Destroyer used King Ghidorah's cells, and King Ghidorah is a adult one, yet has details that King Ghidorah doesn't have, I'm thinking that it got it from the juvenile DNA of King Ghidorah. Because I think that the Ghidorahs still retain that. Now, where should I put the other foot? Maybe here? And do it like the concrete got crushed down, maybe. I will have to fix the sidewalk in this area. Maybe make it look like it's crushed down as well. If anyone in the comments has ever seen a Godzilla movie, which one was your first one that you ever watched? I don't remember which one exactly, but it was either Godzilla vs. Destroyer, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, or Godzilla Final Wars. Although I don't know which one. Also, have you ever watched any other kaiju stuff? Because I've watched a little bit of like Pacific Rim and Gamera, but personally I prefer Godzilla. Also, did you know that Godzilla exists doubly because of us Americans? Because we provide the inspiration and then censored the inspiration so that the Japanese couldn't talk about it to other countries. So to, I don't know, Creeper. At least he was on the slab. Anyway, we censored the information. So in order to warn about the disaster that nuclear war would be, the Japanese filmmakers at Toho made Godzilla because it was a monster movie. And there was no ban on monster movies. Does this look good for the bone? In my mind, this part of, I mean, this form of the Ghidorahs are the pupil form. You know, like with bugs. And then they grow into the other forms after sufficient feeding. I think that diorite looks fairly good there. Managing to make Iscal's least favorite block actually look good. Isn't that something? Speaking of Iscal, does anyone know why he left Hermitcraft? I honestly don't know. Yep, looks like that's my call to leave. And go back to base. I have a bunch of other stuff involving Kaiju planned, including one that involves a monstrous amount of bone blocks. Like, if you think this skeleton used a lot, think so many that you can't even store it without having lag. That is the scale of what I'm thinking. Just grab a couple of these bad boys. Oh, speaking of the bad boys, when do you think the next live series is going to happen? Because I'm a bit of a fan. I like watching Green and Scar's POV, and occasionally Jimmy's. Oh, and speaking of Jimmy, do you think that he will continue the streak of dying, so that dying first, that is, so that his, if I had a nickel for every time Jimmy died first in the life series, it reaches like $2, so that people can make nickel memes from that? That would be pretty funny. I honestly don't see why he hates the nickel memes. I personally love them. In fact, if I ever manage to get on the life series, I would rapid fire nickel memes at Jimmy. And I would do 2 per episode. So that way, in the meme review, he has to listen to, if I had a nickel for every time Dwarf Dragon said I had a nickel joke, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. I think that would just be hilarious. What I'm doing here, I think that a bit of a spike on the bone ring would look cool. Yeah, it does. Sorry about the background. Ow. I have no idea what's causing it. You might need to get a better microphone. Do I have any scaffolding blocks? Yep. Alright. These are slabs. What's your personal favorite block to build with in Minecraft? I personally think that the bone block is pretty fun to do. It has a lot of surprising uses. Also, if you've done any like cool builds and you're also on YouTube, tell me and I'd come and have a look at them. And if you wouldn't mind, I might actually copy a bit of them and put parts of them in my Minecraft base. Because I don't know if I mentioned this, but one of the things about my Minecraft base is that it's going to have a lot of different references in it. Also, while I'm thinking of the 2 Nickels meme, did you know that the guy who voices Doofenshmirtz is actually the same guy who directs Phineas and Ferb? I didn't know that until I looked at some of his Instagram. Ow. How's that skeleton got flame bow? Run, run, run. No, 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 no. Where's my steak? Steak. Oh, wait. I have a totem. I would have been fine. But even with a raid farm, you still need to get ominous bottles, so better not waste them. Where is he? Where'd he go? I really need to light that up. Don't know where he went. This is looking pretty kaiju-y already. Now, do I go for rubber suit look or go for a more biological look? I think more biological, so I'll shift this layer forward. Now I'm thinking of it. Do you have any, like, hot takes on Minecraft? Like, one of my personal ones is people shouldn't waste netherrack because even though it's plentiful, it's actually non-renewable. Because even though you can get nether bricks from piglins, there's no way of renewing netherrack. So I personally think that netherrack in the future should be made renewable. Maybe they could have like some sort of common nether mob that drops it. You know, like how the magma cube gives you magma cream. if you're wondering what I'm doing here, I'm making the part of the leg that goes forward because, or wait, Ghidorahs don't do that. I forgot. And I should know this because I studied it extensively. Well, looks like we're getting a bit close to time, so this video probably will have to have a part 2. But I will add a bit of art on how I think this kaiju will look once completed. I did have actual scaffolding, but I forgot what I did with it. May have put it in my bamboo box. Quite possibly. Let's see, so that's the ankle right there, leg. Well, start of the leg. So, let me see, ankle to leg ratio. I'd say 5 more blocks up. 5. One block down in order to put the kneecap. I was doing so good on my parkour before then. Kelly. There's a lot of cool Minecraft related projects out there that isn't just building in Minecraft. Like, one I would recommend taking a look at is Edge Case Labs. I think I remember the name correctly. It's something like that. It's Edge Case for certain. Labs is the maybe. But anyway, she is doing a painting every single Minecraft texture, and it's really cool. Honestly, whenever I get a bit more well known in the Minecraft community, I would most likely ask her to make a painting that could turn into a Minecraft texture. Maybe a few of them, like the recent video that Mumbo Jumbo did. And well, we're just about time, so thank you all for watching, and see you next time. And this is just a bit of a reminder, if I get about 10 subscribers, I'm going to start streaming. Also, I won't be able to make a video for the next couple of days. Going on a bit of a vacation. You know, spending time with the family. So, have a good one, and see you then when I get back that I mean. Thank you. Bye.